Hi, this is my fire-bellied toad habitat. Let's see, I'll give you a few tips if you guys want to have your own. They're not that hard to take care of. I've had these frogs for about 13 years, and well, some of them I had for 12 years because they had babies and I kept some. Anyway, the habitat is mainly rocks that I piled on. You can get these really good flat rocks from a rockery that sells. Whoops, my finger there. I got it. Okay, a rockery that sells rocks to landscapers. You can get them really cheap there. Just get a bunch of flat rocks and you pile it there. And then I got like a little plastic cave I got from the pet store and a plastic log, and on top of those I put some what do you call those, mango roots, mangrove roots that you can buy from the pet store. And then I got some plastic plants that I got from the pet store. Now the bottom of it, I don't have any gravel because I don't want a hard time cleaning it, so I just left it bare. That's just the glass on the bottom. And once a week, I take out, let's see, I take out all the rocks and stuff and put them in a bucket. And then I scoop the frogs out of the water and stick them inside a little Tupperware plastic container with a tight lid. And I put a little bit of water in there so they don't dry out, and a paper towel folded, and I leave them all in there for about an hour or so while I clean the stuff out. So then after I get a plastic cup and scoop out all the water, I fill a couple of buckets of water and pour it in there. Now, before you pour the water in, make sure you buy some chlorine drops from the aquarium store that gets rid of the chlorine in the water. And also I put a little bit of 7.0 neutral pH powder in there in the water. And that's all I do. See, then I pour the water in there, and then I put the rocks in like it was before. And it's pretty simple. Now, these frogs do not need a heater. They're fine in the summer, and when it gets cold in the winter in the house, they're fine. They like cold water. And leave a fluorescent light on, for about 8 hours a day or so when you're home, And when I feed them, I give them crickets. For these frogs, I give them like medium size, small or medium size. And I give them crickets like once a week, and I give them some of those little bloodworms for the tropical fish. I rinse some of those off and put them on the rocks for them to eat. Whoops, with my finger again. My frogs do not eat in the water. They only eat on land. Why that is, I do not know. Okay, and let's see, what else? Oh yeah, when the frogs lay eggs, they usually lay like around 100 eggs. So they hatch in about 2 or 3 days. So when they lay eggs, if you want to get rid of them, just pull out the rocks or plants that they're stuck to because they stick on stuff, and you can wipe them off and throw them away. But if you want to save some and hatch them, which I've done, they're pretty easy to hatch. What happens is just get a little small container, like maybe a little 2-gallon aquarium or something, and fill it with about 2 inches of water, and scoop out the eggs with a plastic cup, and put them in the water there, and they'll hatch. Be careful once they hatch. Don't use a net on the tadpoles because that could kill them. They're very delicate. Anyway, when they hatch, they'll be swimming around with the eggs, with the yolk sac for a couple of days, and then you got to feed them spinach. What I do is I get fresh spinach and I boil it, and then I rinse it off with cold water and throw it in there, and they devour that spinach. They love it. But to change the water for the tadpoles, once again, don't net them. Just get a plastic cup or a net and scoop out the debris, like the poop and the spinach that they did not eat, and then scoop out about half the water and replace it with some fresh water. And you got to do that just about every day for the tadpoles. Then in a couple of weeks, they'll start growing their arms and legs. When they get their arms and legs, put a couple of flat rocks in there that they can climb up on. And their first food that they will eat is what you call is flightless fruit flies. You can buy from the pet store. Little fruit flies that can't fly. Throw some of those in there. They love those. And also those little bloodworms for the tropical fish. The little tiny frogs love those too. And they'll just thrive on those. And then after that, you can get them what's called pinhead crickets, which are little tiny crickets. Then they move on to bigger crickets. They'll be grown up in about a year or two. They'll be full grown, you know. So, oh yeah, also those tadpoles, when I put the rocks on for them to climb on, I put like damp paper. What I do is instead of a rock, I usually get like a cat bowl that a cat eats out of and wrap a paper towel around it and stick it in there so the towel gets all wet. Then they have something soft to climb on, see, when they're little tiny frogs. But every couple of days you got to change the paper towels because they start stinking. So that's the best thing for them to climb on, is an overturned little cat bowl. So anyway, I guess I covered everything, I hope. And like I said, the fire-bellied toads are really easy to take care of. Also, on your tank, make sure you got a tight-fitting wire lid like this one, because you don't want them to climb out. And that's all. And they're it's pretty cool. After that, no problems. So if you have any questions after seeing the video, just enter them down below and I'll answer them for you. Okay, thanks.